wanna see the light. See the light. I wanna see the light.
Hey guys, this is EA Splits from Plamo Build Report, and today in this video I'll be showing you my full paint process of how I've completed the Moon Gundam. I planned the color scheme to make it more like a G3 and kind of related to like a moon crater-ish color scheme. So for this paint job, I'm using lavender and also some different shades of gray. As you can see in this example right here, I've already done the right side of the paint job right here, and I will show you how I've achieved this. The very first thing I've done is I've disassembled the part using the part separator. Now in this process, I'm very careful of not to get the primer be scratched up. For the lavender color, I've used Ammo Mix satin white and violet and mixed them together. For the darker gray, I've used a Swartz gray along with a silver gray. Now comes the fun part, which is masking hell. So in order to achieve this, I had to cut through many different strips of masking tape and fit them together with toothpicks to each corner so that the paint won't go in between and won't flow out. During this process, I had to do additional masking for the skirt part as well, since that part utilizes two different types of colors. So I had to mask one on top of each other so that they don't really mix up. Alright, now that all the masking is done, let's get to the airbrush. For airbrushing, what I've done is, instead of the traditional mix it into one jar method, I did it drop by drop. And this method, I've only used it because there's only a minimum amount of coloring to this kit, and I didn't want to waste all the paint away after use, so I've been using drop by drop. And since this is an acrylic paint, the best way possible to have a smooth paint job is to do it layer by layer. Since acrylic compared to lacquer is a lot weaker, it's very important to do one layer at a time slowly as possible. This might drive some people away from using acrylic paints, but anything is possible if you have time and patience to make your paint smooth as possible. After painting down each layer, I make sure to use air to dry the paint before I apply the next layer. And after each of the colors that I've used, I make sure to wash them using thinners. This is a very important process if you want to prolong your airbrush use, and make sure that the colors do not mix up pretty well. For this process, I've used lighter colors first, since lighter colors tend to get overshadowed by the darker colors afterwards. For me, I've done both at the same time, just so that I could clean my airbrush so I don't need to worry about it every single time that I have to use it again. Cleaning process is rather simple. All you gotta do is add some thinner, blow it, and then use a brush to clean the inside of the brush. Then afterwards, gurgle the inside of the cup so that the nozzle can be cleaned out as well. Once that's done, it's time to apply the next shade of paint, the darker gray one. Now the darker gray one was a little tricky for me because the silver gray actually didn't really do anything to the colors at all. However, what I've kind of figured out is that it did kind of make an effect of making a lighter color because of how much you've mixed into it. So be careful when you're doing this. I just kind of wish that I'd use a lighter dark gray. After that's done, I took out the masking of each of the parts that I painted. Now this is a very nervous process for me, but at the same time very excited to see how the colors turned out. When taking off masking, be sure to go very slow, or else because of the force, you may be able to strip away the paint, and you don't want that. Here's an example of when you put the masking tape on before the paint is completely dry. As you can see from this lavender color here, there are some that's been already stripped away. Later I have brush paint that lavender back so that it fills into color. As you can see here, almost every base painting is all complete. It looks very beautiful and I really like how this turned out. I gave the details in the burners the lavender color so that it stands out a bit more. As you can see here, the colors came out perfectly. I really like how this turned out very well. So now that the base painting is done, let's get to the fun part, the detail paintings. The first detail paint that I've done is an acrylic glow paint. Now this paint is a green Neon Nights 2-in-1 glow paint, and it really makes a difference when you use a black light to make it illuminating. As you can see right here, I've used a black light to give it a more LED style look for the sensor cam and also to the ankles. The next detail paint that I've done is I've used a tester's black paint to paint the duct from the chest. Now this really doesn't stand out that much, but I figured that this is the only black paint that I'll ever use, so it was a very quick paint job from there. I forgot to mention one thing, I have top coated this into a gloss finish for panel lining and the detail paints. The next paint I use is Tester's Gold, and to be honest, I have a lot of fun putting the gold color in here as the details really stood out. It kind of made me paint a little more gold than what I've planned, but overall it looks very good. Once that's done, now it's time for Waterslide Decals. For the Waterslide Decals, I use Delphi's decal and many other leftover decals that I had. The one thing that I've used to put it together is the Tamiya's Mark Fit. And this works really well as Mark Fit is a mixture of an actual decal glue and also a softener all mixed together. So for something like a Moon Gundam, which has some curvy edges, I think it works really well. And for that, all the detail and the decaling and the panel lining has been done. Look at this. I'm very happy with the results that I see right here. The gold details really stood out from the leg part and also from the small ducts from the lavender boosters. After I've done every detail possible, I have top coated this with a matte finish using Tamiya XF86. And after that, that's all that. Oh, wait a minute. I still have the cycle plates left. Let me do that real quick. For the cycle plates, I've used a color shift paint by Green Stuff World. This color is Toxic Purple that gives a green and purple look. And after a few brush strokes later, I am finally done.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime!
Hey, thanks for sticking around to this part of the video. This is where I will give my personal thoughts on my paint process overall. So for those of you who've been following the channel, this Moon Gundam was reviewed and the overall seam line and washing process has been done about a year ago. It's been a long time since I put out this Moon Gundam out until it's been fully painted, and I'm glad that I'm able to finish it right now with a result that I really love. Now, I really wanted to do like a very good paint job that's really unique, that's nothing out there. And while searching through the internet, I've not seen anybody do like a G3 finish, which that's something that I really wanted to aim for. The one thing that I wanted to do better next time is basically put the overall details on some of the parts that I've missed. An example would be the cycle plates. The cycle plates was kind of like a last minute thing that I had to do, just brush everything off. I skipped away using the brush painting instead of just masking and airbrushing it all together because I know that it will take some time and I really wanted to finish the kit as much as possible. However, the result came out rather clean and I'm very happy with the result that I got. This also for me is one of the things that kind of made me want to paint more kits, since for over an year I have been putting out painting due to some personal issues that I had for work and also for the space that I have. And using acrylic paint as a limitation really made me think through everything that I needed to do. Since acrylic paint is something that a lot of people wanted to avoid because it's very hard to use, but from my experience of like testing out acrylic paints and just kind of knowing like the dry time of each of it, I figured out that it is very possible to do a very decent job of painting even with just acrylic paints. Now, with that being said, I encourage everybody to use acrylic paint as much as possible because for once, they're very easy to obtain, and second, they're really easy to use. The only downside is that they dry a little too quickly compared to like lacquer and enamel paints, and that might lead you to be very careful and cautious when using acrylic paints in general. But overall, I think everything that I wanted was there, and I'm very happy with the results. So if you haven't already, please consider following and subscribing to the channel and put that bell notification out for me so that you guys can get more notification for my future paint job, as I am trying to revive this YouTube channel that I've started about a year ago. As always, thank you for all who've been watching and supporting me up until this point, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.